The scandalous plan to control Princess Diana before her death. After Princess Diana and King Charles divorced in 1996, she became more independent and influential. No longer tied to royal duties, Princess Diana fully embraced her role as a humanitarian. She traveled the world, supporting causes like AIDS awareness and landmine removal, and used her newfound freedom to speak openly about her struggles. Princess Diana's authenticity made her a global icon, beloved for her compassion and honesty. However, her growing influence posed a challenge to the royal family. Princess Diana was no longer just a princess. She'd become a global celebrity in her own right, and some members of the monarchy saw her as a threat to their image. Her popularity and independence highlighted a stark contrast to the royal family's carefully controlled image, leading to increasing efforts to limit her public impact. In this video, we're counting down the scandalous plan to control Princess Diana before her death. Number 1. Monitoring her movements. Princess Diana may have seemed free to live her life on her own terms, but in reality, she was under constant surveillance. From the moment she became part of the royal family, her movements were closely monitored. This wasn't just about security, it was about control. Princess Diana was followed by her security team at all times, but the surveillance didn't stop there. Palace officials were said to have a role in keeping track of her movements and activities. When Princess Diana traveled, whether for royal engagements or personal trips, her every step was watched and recorded. It wasn't unusual for her to be surrounded by people who were there to keep an eye on her, making sure that she didn't step out of line or act in ways that might damage the royal family's carefully curated image. This kind of monitoring wasn't just about protecting Diana. It was about managing her image and controlling how the world saw her. It was a way to ensure that she would always be within the boundaries set by the royal family, even when she wanted to be more independent. In many ways, Princess Diana's personal freedom was compromised by the palace's efforts to keep her under control. Number 2. Limiting her autonomy. Princess Diana's life, despite being filled with public appearances and royal duties, was actually quite restricted. One of the most significant ways the royal family controlled her was by limiting her autonomy. Princess Diana was not in control of many aspects of her own life, from her marriage to King Charles to the way she spent her time and made decisions. It was clear that others were pulling the strings. As a member of the royal family, Princess Diana was expected to follow a strict set of rules that governed how she should act, what she should wear, and even who she should associate with. Her own desires, opinions, and choices often took a backseat to the expectations placed on her. This lack of control over her own life caused Princess Diana immense emotional pain. She was constantly being told what to do, what to say, and how to behave. It made her feel trapped in a role that didn't allow her to be true to herself. Over time, this pressure began to take its toll on Princess Diana's mental health. As she grew more independent and outspoken, the royal family became even more controlling, fearing that Princess Diana's voice would challenge their authority and the monarchy's carefully crafted image. Number 3. Restricting her access to information. One of the most insidious ways in which Princess Diana was controlled was by limiting her access to information about her own life and the world around her. The royal family kept her in the dark about many important matters, particularly when it came to decisions that directly affected her. Princess Diana wasn't always informed about what was going on with her children, her marriage, or even her finances. She was often left to figure things out on her own, without being fully aware of the bigger picture. This information control was a key strategy used by the royal family to maintain power over Princess Diana. By keeping her uninformed and isolated from important decisions, they were able to limit her ability to make independent choices. This kind of secrecy made Princess Diana feel powerless and alone. She was trapped in a world where she was forced to trust others to make decisions for her, but she often didn't know who to trust. The more information she was denied, the harder it became for her to navigate the complexities of royal life. Number 4. Using the media to manipulate public opinion. The media played a huge role in the control of Princess Diana's life. The press was constantly hounding her, reporting on her every move, and twisting her words to fit a narrative that the royal family and other powerful figures wanted to create. When Princess Diana acted in ways that didn't fit the royal mold, the media was quick to criticize her. Whether it was her style, her emotions, or her personal struggles, the media was used to paint a picture of Princess Diana as someone who was unstable or difficult. But the media's role wasn't just about reporting the news. It was about controlling the story. The royal family and other figures behind the scenes reportedly used the press to manipulate public opinion. They would leak stories or provide false information to discredit Princess Diana and undermine her credibility. The media manipulation made it difficult for Princess Diana to maintain her public image as a compassionate and independent figure. Instead, the press often portrayed her as a troubled princess, reinforcing the narrative that she needed to be controlled. The media's constant attacks only added to the pressure Princess Diana was already under, but it also became a tool for those trying to keep her in check. Number 5. Isolating her from friends and family. Another powerful tactic used to control Princess Diana was isolation. She was kept away from her friends and family, especially when she needed them the most. While it might seem that Princess Diana had a network of people around her, the truth is that many of her closest relationships were strained or severed by the pressure she faced. Princess Diana's family was often not included in important decisions, and she was kept away from them during critical moments in her life. This isolation served two purposes. It made it harder for Princess Diana to find support, and it allowed those in power to control the narrative around her. By cutting off her access to her loved ones, the royal family and other figures were able to keep Princess Diana from seeking help or advice that could have helped her break free from the pressure. This emotional distance made Princess Diana feel more alone and helpless, further weakening her ability to challenge the control that was placed on her life. She was trapped in a system where the people who cared for her were kept at a distance, and the power structures that controlled her were always in the way. Number 6. Controlling her finances. One of the key ways the royal family maintained control over Princess Diana was by controlling her finances. Despite being one of the most famous women in the world, Princess Diana did not have full control over her own money. Her finances were tightly monitored by the palace, and she was only given a limited amount of freedom when it came to making financial decisions. This financial control was another tool used to keep her dependent on the royal family and the system that controlled her. Princess Diana's access to money was restricted, which made it harder for her to make independent choices. She couldn't simply walk away from her marriage or leave the royal family because her financial independence was limited. In many ways, this control over her money was a form of psychological manipulation, keeping Princess Diana bound to a system where she didn't have full control over her own life. Financial freedom is a powerful tool for independence, and by limiting Princess Diana's access to it, the royal family ensured that she would remain under their influence for much of her life. Number 7. Restricting her travel. One of the many ways the royal family tried to control Princess Diana was by restricting her ability to travel freely. Though Princess Diana often appeared to be attending global charity events or on vacation, the truth was that she needed permission for nearly every trip she took. Her movements were tightly monitored, and the royal family had a say in where she went, who she went with, and even how long she could stay. Princess Diana was rarely allowed to travel on her own terms, especially when it came to personal trips. Every journey she made, whether it was for work or leisure, had to be approved, often leaving her with little autonomy. This travel restriction wasn't just about logistics or safety. It was another way to isolate Princess Diana and keep her under control. The less she traveled on her own, the more she became dependent on the royal family's approval. This constant surveillance and regulation of her travel made Princess Diana feel confined. She was often in the spotlight, but in her private life, she was kept on a tight leash, unable to make simple decisions about where she could go and when. Her desire for independence was continually stifled by these restrictions. Number 8. Monitoring her phone calls and mail. The royal family was reportedly so concerned about controlling Princess Diana that even her private communications were closely monitored. It wasn't just her physical movements that were tracked. Her phone calls and mail were also under scrutiny. Princess Diana's private conversations, whether with friends, family, or her advisors, were allegedly intercepted by palace officials. Even her personal letters were reportedly read by someone in the royal household before they reached her. This kind of invasion into her privacy served two purposes. It allowed the royal family to control the flow of information to and from Princess Diana, and it prevented her from seeking support outside the palace. By monitoring her communications, they could ensure that Princess Diana didn't connect with anyone who might encourage her to challenge the family or expose uncomfortable truths. This constant surveillance made it nearly impossible for Princess Diana to trust anyone or feel like she had any real privacy. Every conversation and letter was potentially being watched, making her feel more isolated and vulnerable. Number 9. Using psychological manipulation. Psychological manipulation was another powerful tool used to control Princess Diana. Over time, Princess Diana was subjected to emotional and mental pressure that affected her behavior and mindset. People close to her reported that she was often made to feel guilty, anxious, and unsure of herself. The royal family allegedly used various tactics to manipulate her emotionally, including undermining her confidence and making her feel as though she couldn't trust her own judgment. This kind of psychological control is subtle but effective. It doesn't always leave visible marks, but it can erode a person's sense of self-worth and autonomy. Princess Diana reportedly struggled with feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt, and the constant emotional manipulation contributed to her mental health struggles. The royal family's attempts to control her emotional responses were part of a larger effort to keep her in line. By breaking her down psychologically, they hoped to ensure that she would always conform to their wishes and never challenge their authority. Number 10. Limiting her access to medical care. Princess Diana's physical and mental health were a significant concern during her time in the royal family. However, access to medical care, especially for her emotional struggles, was often limited. When Princess Diana faced severe emotional distress, she was not always given the support she needed. The royal family reportedly kept tight control over her access to medical care, particularly when it came to mental health treatment. She was sometimes left to cope with her struggles on her own, without the support of professional help she needed to heal. The lack of proper medical care, especially for her mental health, added to Princess Diana's sense of isolation. In a world where everyone seemed to have a say in her life, her emotional well-being was often overlooked. The royal family's reluctance to provide her with adequate care may have contributed to her ongoing struggles with depression and eating disorders. Princess Diana's experience highlights the difficulties faced by those who are caught in systems that prioritize image and control over personal well-being. Number 11. Using the royal family's influence to silence her. The royal family had an enormous amount of influence, not just in Britain, but around the world. They used this power to silence Princess Diana when she tried to speak out. When Princess Diana attempted to share her side of the story, whether about her marriage to King Charles or her struggles within the royal family, there were often attempts to discredit her. The royal family's influence was felt everywhere, from the press to public opinion, making it difficult for Princess Diana to have her voice heard. When Princess Diana spoke about her unhappy marriage or the pressure she faced in the palace, the family would often use their position to block her efforts. They worked behind the scenes to stop her from being too vocal or from sharing anything that could harm the monarchy's reputation. Her efforts to speak out, whether through interviews or her own personal accounts, were often met with resistance from those in power. The royal family's ability to silence her meant that her truth was frequently overshadowed by the narrative they wished to present. Number 12. Restricting her ability to pursue charitable work. Princess Diana was known for her charitable efforts and humanitarian work, which made her one of the most beloved figures in the world. However, the royal family reportedly controlled and restricted the types of charitable work she could pursue. Though Princess Diana was passionate about helping others, especially in areas like HIV and AIDS awareness and landmine clearance, her charity work was often directed by the royal family to maintain a controlled public image. The royal family wanted to ensure that Princess Diana's public image remained aligned with their interests, and her charity work was no exception. While they allowed her to support various causes, they made sure she didn't get too involved in controversial or politically sensitive issues. This limited Princess Diana's ability to fully express herself through her charity work, as she was forced to stay within the boundaries set by the monarchy. Princess Diana's passion for helping others was often at odds with the royal family's desire to keep her on a leash, and this created tension throughout her life. Number 13. Using surveillance. The level of surveillance Princess Diana faced wasn't limited to just her movements and communications. It reportedly extended to her entire life. The royal family allegedly used various forms of surveillance to monitor her activities, including using people to follow her, both publicly and privately. Whether she was at a public event or spending time at home, there were always individuals watching her, ensuring that she didn't step out of line. This constant surveillance created a sense of paranoia and mistrust for Princess Diana. She could never truly relax knowing that someone was always keeping an eye on her. The use of surveillance also served as a reminder to Princess Diana that she wasn't in control of her own life. Every step she took was being watched, making her feel trapped in a life she couldn't escape from. Number 14. Limiting her access to her children. Princess Diana's relationship with her children, Princes William and Harry, was a constant source of stress and conflict after her separation from King Charles. Though Princess Diana was a loving and devoted mother, her access to her children was often limited by the royal family. There were times when Princess Diana felt she couldn't see her sons as much as she wanted, especially after her divorce from King Charles. The royal family reportedly played a role in deciding when and how often Princess Diana could see her children, further adding to her feelings of helplessness. This control over her access to her children was another way to keep Princess Diana in line. It was a powerful tool used to emotionally manipulate her, making her feel as though she had to constantly prove her worth as a mother in order to maintain her relationship with her sons. The more the royal family controlled her access to William and Harry, the more isolated and vulnerable Princess Diana became. Number 15. Using emotional manipulation. Beyond the physical and financial control, the royal family also used emotional manipulation as a way to control Princess Diana. From the early days of her marriage to King Charles, Princess Diana was subjected to emotional pressure, including guilt, criticism, and the constant reminder that she had to behave in a way that was in line with royal expectations. Her emotions were often manipulated by those around her, leaving her confused and unsure of her own feelings. Princess Diana's emotional well-being was often used against her. Whenever she acted out or expressed dissatisfaction, she was made to feel as though she was overreacting or being difficult. This kind of manipulation is insidious because it affects a person's self-esteem and their ability to trust their own feelings. For Princess Diana, this emotional manipulation was a constant struggle, and it played a significant role in her struggles with mental health throughout her life. Despite all the efforts to silence her, Princess Diana's courage and strength still managed to shine through, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire the world. But what do you think? Do you believe the royal family went too far in trying to control Princess Diana's life? Or was it all about protecting the monarchy's image? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye!